Good evening, Seguin ISD community, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with me this evening to learn the latest updates as far as COVID is concerned and the reopening of school. I certainly do appreciate your time and your support throughout this. As always, I like to start with a state of the district and community as far as this pandemic is concerned to give you an idea of where we are in the Seguin community. As far as the school district, at this time, we have 4 employees who have either tested positive or are in quarantine right now. That is a slight increase from last week, but is significantly lower than our early summer figures, which were in the 30s. So we are seeing some progress. I certainly do believe that the precautions that we're taking now compared to May and early June are certainly making a difference for sure. As far as in Seguin and Guadalupe County, again, I had the opportunity to meet with county officials, local health professionals, as well as local superintendents to really discuss reopening plans and local conditions. The hospital has seen a decrease in the number of hospitalizations. They were averaging through July about 44 hospitalizations a week with COVID. We are currently at around 11, which is promising. The positivity rate, I don't pay too much attention to in Guadalupe County. It's currently at 23%, which is really high. But we're also short of a health department where we have good data to look at as it pertains to the number of tests that are being conducted. There also seems to be a decrease in the number of tests, not only in Guadalupe County, but across Texas for a variety of reasons, possibly the inability to access them, the wait times, and so we are monitoring all of those figures, but we are going to, as we make decisions, as we get closer to the start of school, continue to monitor. And just a reminder that the first day of school still remains at September the 8th. Students have the option to learn at home remotely or at school face-to-face. There have been many parents who have expressed concern about letting kids back into our buildings. Parents, you still have that option to have your students learn remotely. And that is available to you. It is completely revamped compared to what it was in the spring. I also want to encourage our community to review the blueprint. Many questions come through, whether it's through this forum, through email, social media, and many of the answers are within our blueprint that we continue to monitor and evaluate every day and make adjustments to. And even today, we were making some slight changes. So it's going to continue to evolve as we get closer to the start of school. And as many of you are aware, some of our neighboring school districts have started school already, and some of other neighboring districts start next week or the following week. So we are certainly going to be watching our neighbors closely. We are in collaboration. We're all in this together, and we're learning from one another. And so I do look forward to getting feedback from our peer districts down the road. As you were able to see if you were on the call right at 5 o'clock, the agenda for today, current state and updates, a brief review I'm going to give of information that was important that was shared last week. And then I'm going to offer an opportunity for 10, 15 minutes or so to open the floor to questions that will be answered live. And we will make our best effort to either answer live with me answering, some of the panelists answering here on Zoom, and in some cases, you receiving feedback via email or phone. I wanted to make this a little bit more interactive today, and we'll continue this. It may not be as much time moving forward, but this is something that we will continue to do. I do want to also remind our community that we are offering an employee support service to our teachers where we will offer childcare for teachers who are opting for their children to learn remotely. Most of these are going to be teachers who live out of district. We will provide childcare for kinder through 5th grades at our campuses. I also want to remind our parents that we are currently registering students for school. As of today, we have just over 2,000 students who are registered, about 30% of our students. Of the 2,000 students who have registered, we have about 45% of our students who have opted for remote learning at home, which we expected for it to be about 50% based on the feedback that we received weeks ago. And I feel pretty good about that figure. If we were looking at 60, 70, 80%, then we'd have to go back and revisit our plans as to how we will accommodate that number of students. As of right now, it is feasible to be able to put in place the practices that are outlined within our blueprint. Parents, the deadline to make a decision whether you are going to have your child learn at school face-to-face or remotely is August 19th. And some may ask, well, why so early when school starts on September 8th? Well, we have to allow our campuses the opportunity to plan traffic flows, to design classrooms to ensure that there is enough spacing, to determine class loads, the number of students in a class, and then determine how many teachers are going to be remote teachers and how many teachers are going to be face-to-face teachers. And that takes time, that takes planning. We did try to push that out as late as possible, but the August date is the date that we agreed upon. And we are asking for parents to make that important decision so that we can begin building classes, whether it is a 1st grade class or whether it is building classes for our secondary schools. We need to be able to start assigning students to classes, assigning teachers to classes, and then start reformatting our classrooms, and then having a really good understanding of how many kids are going to be in our school building, so that we need to determine that we need to have 2 lunches, 3 lunches. We're going to have lunch in the library, lunch in the cafeteria, lunch in vacant classrooms. So it's very important that we have time. And I know there are still so many questions, and you want to see really where is COVID going to be. I understand that, and we do, but we also have to have that time to plan appropriately for the safest environment. And it's okay if you want to opt for the 1st grading period to keep your children at home where they're learning at home. That's okay. We are providing a quality online program for our students. It is going to look very differently than it did before. So I do want to encourage you, if that is something you're leaning towards, then go for it and select remote. If you want your kids with us, go for it, send them to us. We're going to make sure that we have structures in place to ensure students are safe. The next topic that I feel is important, that I want to just review from last week, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, is the fact that we were approved to be a community eligibility provision school district. And what that means is that students from pre-K through 8th grade, and including Seguin campuses, which includes MBLC and the alternative school, eat for free. So parents, that is one less stressor in your life that you have to worry about. Your children will have the opportunity to eat for free, and you will no longer have to worry about charges or anything of that nature. And I know that many people in our community are struggling, so this is one less thing that families have to worry about. The only campus where meals will continue as far as pricing is going to be at the high school campus, and we are looking to make a change next year. For teachers who did not have the opportunity to join the town hall this afternoon, just a reminder that we are holding convocation virtually on Monday, August the 17th. at 8:30, and we have a convocation speaker. I'm very proud to have Dr. Tyrone Howard, who is going to be with us. He is an expert in working with at-risk populations, children from poverty, has a focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we are excited to welcome Dr. Tyrone Howard to Seguin ISD. He is well known nationally. Although I wish this was face-to-face, I am fortunate in that we have this opportunity to have him with us. And one last topic before we get into a couple of Q&A items. We will hold a special town hall next Thursday on August the 20th. We will hold our regular town halls for staff and community on Wednesday, August 19th, for staff at 2 p.m. and for the community at 5 p.m. However, on Thursday, we are holding a special town hall with a focus on special education. This will be an opportunity for parents of special education students to join the superintendent, myself, and the director of special services for an opportunity to learn how services are going to look for your child when school reopens. We will also offer an opportunity for parents of special education children to ask questions as well within that 30-minute time frame. As of today, that time is at 5 o'clock. It may change to 5:30, but I won't know until Monday. Really trying to take your feedback that I've received and wanting some more interactive questioning here. And starting late, there are some conflicts. For example, next week I have to start at 5 o'clock, but hopefully the week after we can start the regular town hall at 5:30. I do appreciate everyone's patience, and I just appreciate your willingness to open up and offer feedback, and just want you to know that I do look at that feedback and take it into consideration. The first question that I have is, if I opt for my child to learn remotely, will I still have access to school lunches? Yes, you will. If you choose to keep your child at home to learn, you do still have access to lunches. And it's if you are pre-K through 8th grade, it is free of charge. We will have meal distribution sites likely at campuses and some others possibly in remote areas. Please stay tuned. We will get that information out to you. But this is a question that has come in pretty frequently over the last several weeks. So I do want to make sure that I share that with the community. The next question that I have, and I want to make sure that I share my screen so that you can see what I'm referencing, is can I wear, or can my child wear, a face shield in place of a cloth or a medical mask? The short answer is no, but there's some exceptions. And so I wanted to point out what's in the blueprint. Per TEA, in addition to the executive order that the governor had placed out, the district may require the use of masks or face shields for adults or students to whom it's developmentally appropriate. I'm going to read the second statement and then go back and talk about developmentally appropriate. Masks include non-medical grade disposable face masks, cloth face coverings over the nose and mouth. Full face shields may be used in addition to a mask or in place of a mask to protect eyes, nose, and mouth whenever a mask is not feasible or whenever the education context may benefit from the ability to see an individual's face. So when the education context may benefit and it's important to see an individual's face, is probably going to be important in a pre-K or kindergarten classroom where children are learning to read and learning to pronounce words and watching the teacher as he or she pronounces words. It may be developmentally appropriate for that age group, but it also may be developmentally appropriate for some of our special needs students who need to read lips to communicate. There are some students that have conditions where they cannot wear something covering their face directly, where it may be appropriate to wear a face shield. What's important to know is that part of our dress code this year includes the wearing of masks for staff and students. So it is going to be important for our parents to be aware that we are going to require that our students wear masks to school every day. Now, I was really excited last week when I talked about these gator masks that we were looking at purchasing. We were ready to go, ready to purchase for our staff and purchase for our students when I believe that next day or two, a lot of research started coming out about these fleece face coverings or gator mask. And it basically states that it's like not wearing a face covering at all and could be potentially more hazardous because the droplets that come out wearing one of these versus no mask are bigger. And there's a vast variety of research out there. So we are not ordering the gator mask. We are looking at plan B. We are looking at ordering an alternative cloth face covering our mask for our students and our staff. So please stay tuned. We are still going to provide those to kids and to staff, but we are not going to provide the gator mask. And you may have some already in possession, and yes, you can wear them to school. We are asking that you wear a mask under it, or what we're having kids do right now who are wearing these, who are in school for various reasons, is they're doubling them up to ensure that there is some type of protection. The next question, and I'm gonna just share my screen just so you can see the question, is do I need to buy all the supplies on the school supply list for my child who is going to be learning remotely? You do not have to have all of these supplies that are on that list if your child is going to be learning remotely. There's going to be a need for a limited amount of school supplies if your child is learning at home. However, it will be important to make sure that your child is prepared should school reopen 100%, or should you decide in the next grading period that your child will come back to the school, that your child has the appropriate school supplies. I would encourage you to purchase the supplies now while they are on sale for relatively very low prices compared to how they're going to be in a month or two, and possibly even harder to find. So that is your decision, but the answer is you do not have to have those school supplies September 8th if your child is learning remotely. The next question that I'm going to look at is, if I selected remote learning, does my child receive a device? So the school district has ordered thousands of devices, and we were really expecting them to arrive on time. However, there is a delay, as you can expect. I believe in Texas alone, there have been over 1 million devices ordered. So we can expect a slowdown, and that is going to happen. So if you do not have a device at home, you may check out a device from Seguin ISD, only if you do not have a device at home. Now we are moving towards the place where, if we had our technology, where you get the device regardless if you had a device at home or not, so that everyone is using the same device. But for right now, it's for those who do not have devices, and we are asking that you check that box only if you need to have one right now. And if you possibly can, if your family can share an existing device or one device, please make sure you let us know. Things will change once we do receive the devices that are on order. We are also very proud to announce that we will, within several weeks, have an estimated 1,000 hotspots to ensure that every single learner in Seguin ISD is connected to the internet. And we are excited to roll that out this year to those families who need it. But the Wi-Fi hotspots will only be available for checkout if you do not have connectivity at home. Please remember that we have students who do not have connectivity, and we really want to make sure that they have access so that they can do their work remotely. So we will have that option. Please stay tuned. We have more information coming out in the coming days regarding our Wi-Fi hotspots, and I'm really excited to be able to provide that opportunity for our students, many of which do not have access at home. I'm gonna go to the next question. If my child is running a fever or they are sick, will they have to have a COVID test before returning to school? And will their sibling be able to go to school while the other is sick? Well, sick encompasses a lot. If it is just a sickness that's more of a cold, or symptoms that are not aligned with COVID, yes, we're asking that you keep your child at home. Any symptoms related to that list that I shared last week to COVID, we are asking that parents seek testing for their children and to share that information with the school system. Unfortunately, schools do not have the resource to be able to provide testing. It's my hope that that we will be able to get additional funding from the federal government if both sides can come together so that we could offer that at our schools. Another great question, and I failed to mention it, is at the Town Hall for Special Education, will there be an opportunity to cover 504 students? And the answer is yes. We are going to talk about specifically special education and 504. Okay, there was another question that I was going to answer. Here we go. If my child learns remotely, this is lengthy, so I'm going to read it slowly. If my child learns remotely, will he or she still be able to access physical education at his scheduled class at the Outdoor Learning Center? Also, will choir and theater groups be able to rehearse with proper distancing and mask after school, preferably outdoors? And will distance learners be able to participate fully in after school opportunities? That is a great question. So if your child is in a PE class that is outdoors, outdoor learning center, your child may participate. It makes sense. If your child is learning at home and then they go to an environment where there's a lot of space outdoors, outdoor learning center, absolutely. Will choir and theater and other groups, here it outlines choir and theater, but other groups be able to rehearse after school, before school with proper distancing and masks, ideally outdoors? And the answer is yes. We want to ensure as much normalcy as possible once school starts. So we are expecting that there will be rehearsals and practices with safety protocols in place happening. And then will distance learners, if my child is learning remotely, will he be able to play football? Will my daughter be able to be in band or cheer if they are remote learners? And the answer is yes. If your child is learning at home, they may still participate in extracurricular activities. So they can be learning at home and then come and participate in the extracurricular function after school. Here's another question. The special education town hall is on August the 20th, but the cutoff registration is on 8/19. Do you think this would hold up special need families from registering? Would it be a problem if special needs families decide to wait to register? Thank you for that question. Absolutely would not be a problem. If you are a parent of a special education student or a student who receives 504 services, it is absolutely okay to wait. I know there are so many things that you're weighing right now to make this very important decision. It is absolutely okay if you wait until the 20th to make that decision. Thank you for that question. Last week, Dr. Gutierrez showed a color chart for the current conditions. Just curious what phase we are in now. Well, we are still developing that chart, and likely it'll be something that I can share with the community next Wednesday, and something that will be within our blueprint. We received some really good information from the measurement tool that Bexar County is using. There is a district nearby that is developing one right now, and they are going to share theirs. So we'll compare those to the one draft that we have and then share that with the community. And I'm going through questions. A lot of them are being answered live. Will each grade level have a scheduled time for online learning? I have 3 children and only 1 computer. We will have schedules, and you are able to, as a parent with multiple children, look at the blueprint and determine if that is going to be a conflict. And it may very well be. And so in a case where you have 3 children sharing 1 device and you see those schedules on the blueprint and there are going to be conflicts, then please request a device, because we certainly do not want students to be held up because of the lack of technology when multiple children are needing to share. That if you have any issues with registration, please remember that there have been several questions regarding registration. So I'm going to share my screen. I encourage you to, I'm sorry, let's see. The phone number is 830-401-8080. If you have any questions with registration, please make sure to call that number. Again, I'm going to try to share that again, 830-401-8080. After August the 14th, contact your campus and there will be someone on staff to be able to assist you. And I'm going to answer one more question before we close. Will Seguin ISD publish the active number of COVID cases for the students and the staff? What I do hope to do is to continue to provide updates on a weekly basis for the foreseeable future to provide that information. We also have to keep in mind that we cannot violate HIPAA. If you have a campus that has 1 student out and others notice that 1 student is out and we post 1 student has COVID, we have to be very careful. It's similar to with flu and other conditions that we can't necessarily post numbers. But what we are going to do with the measurement tool that we're developing is give our community a sense of where we are as a school district, so that you all can immediately gauge where we are day to day. That concludes this evening. I certainly do appreciate the nearly 200 folks who joined me on this call today. I certainly look forward to providing additional updates to you next week. Again, I appreciate your patience and flexibility. We don't know what the first day of school is going to look like. We don't know what the second week of school is going to look like because this is foreign to us. But what we can do is work closely together to ensure that we are prepared and have the appropriate safety measures in place. Parents and community members, I greatly appreciate your time and your support. Thank you so much.